Alright, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do a real quick review on the H&K VP9 versus the Glock 19. I plan on doing a total review of the H&K later, but right now I want to compare it to one of my favorite guns, the Glock 19 Gen 4. So starting off, we'll talk a little bit about the Glock 19. Glock 19 is small, size efficient, it's compact but not too compact. The aftermarket parts on it are amazing. They have any trigger you want, any sight set you want. You can buy your magazines for really cheap. It's like the AR-15 of the handgun world. It's pretty awesome. The H&K is the new guy on the block. The trigger, just off the bat, I can tell you is better. The ergonomics on the Glock I like a little bit better, even though the grip angle is a little bit off. I shoot a ZZ in competition. This grip angle is a little more like that, but I feel like the Glock is just easier to get used to. The grip panels on this, let's start off. They're a little more customizable than your Glock. Your Gen 4s have back straps to them, and that's kind of nice. But your H&Ks actually have side straps to them as well. And if you have big hands like I do, that tends to help out a little bit. Not as much as you'd think, to be honest, but a little bit. As far as holsters and stuff go, you can get any holster in the world for this gun. That's another big pro of this. This gun, they're starting to come out with them, but it's hard to say. If they sell a lot of these, they're going to have more holsters. If not, they won't. Okay, first up is the H&K VP9. I'm going to shoot a couple strings out of it, kind of what you would do in an offensive scenario, I guess. I'm kind of more of a USPSA shooter, so I'm just going to shoot 3-round bursts on the timer, get a good feel for it, and then do a little quick transitions, see how I feel about it, and give you my impressions afterward. .219. 194. 'Alright, now the Glock 19. Okay, so now we're going to take the VP9 out to about 50 yards and see how we do. So now we're going to take the Glock 19 Generation 4 up to 50 yards and see how we do. Alright, so now my closing on what I think about the H&K versus the Glock 19. First off, the Glock 19 is lighter. I'm a big fan of that. If you're going to carry it around a lot, like I live on a ranch, carry it around outside while I'm working on stuff, this is a big win for me. I mean, it's a little bit heavier, not much, but it is noticeable. As far as aftermarket parts go, again, this is a big win. This is a new guy on the block. Maybe it'll get there someday, but it's not there right now. Alright, the price difference between these two guns. It's not substantial, but it could be, depending on what your budget is. This gun is about $650 roughly, if you get a decent deal at it. which isn't bad. But this gun, however, even the Gen 4s, the brand new one, can be had for around $500 if you look. That's awful nice. They both shoot 9mm, which is nice. I mean, you can get them in other calibers, but I have both of these in 9mm. Those are cheap to shoot. The magazine releases between the two of them. This one's a European style mag release. It's a little hard for me to get used to be honest. The reset of where the slide release is also kind of an issue for me. Every time I shoot this gun, the gun doesn't lock back, and that's not because of the gun, that's because of me. I have really big hands, and I like to rest my finger right on the slide release here. So every time it goes dry, it doesn't lock back. However, this one seems like it gets in the way much less. I've rarely had that problem with this gun. Reloading as far as these guns go. Again, I'm super used to the Glock, so maybe eventually I could get used to this. As far as stripping and reloading goes, they're about the same if you can get over the European mag release. Recoil. The recoil, I think, is about the same unless you account for the fact that this is actually a bigger gun. So if you were to compare this to, let's say, a Glock 17 would have less recoil and would be easier to manage in this gun, and I still believe it would be lighter. Accuracy, however, is where the VP9 really shines. It's got a little longer barrel, but not as much as you'd think. The trigger is where it's at, though. The trigger on this gun is pretty awesome. As far as a stock striker-fired trigger, it's probably the best one I've ever used. I actually have a Ghost performance trigger in this gun, and I still like this one better. The trigger face is more of a flat face, so your finger just feels better on it, as opposed to the safety action trigger of the Glock. But my final impressions are, if I had to buy one or the other, I would buy the Glock. I would give it a 10 out of 10, and I would give the VP9 a 9 out of 10. Little disclosure, the sun is directly in my face, so I'm having a really hard time seeing. I can't see shit.